Hi, welcome to my sporting show Kavindu Sporting Times. Before starting the show, I'm going to hit the like button and subscribe to my show. Today on the show, I'm doing an entire show focused on Sri Lanka cricket and their future and their current state. That's what we're going to focus purely on today on the show. So now let's get started. So now, as you all know, Sri Lanka cricket was once a powerhouse in world cricket. From the victory in 1996 to the glory days of the 2000s until 2015, the Sri Lankan team never left the rankings of the top 5 in all 3 formats, no matter the situation was. Post forward to now 2021, Sri Lanka ranked number 9 in ODI cricket, I presume, and number 10 or number 9 in T20 cricket, and number 6 or 7 in Test cricket. Now you're thinking, well, that's a major downer, and no young player who made promises in the 2010s are able to establish themselves in this team right now. So let's talk about 3 factors of the issue: lack of consistency, lack of performances, and politics. That's all 3 issues. Let's talk about politics. Sri Lanka cricket have always had politics in the system. But for a long time, politics did not interfere with the performances of the team for long periods. In fact, for almost 20 years, I would say, for almost 15 to 13 years, I would say, sports were not interfered in this country by politics, especially cricket. But now, cricket is invaded by politics. In Sri Lanka, all politicians have some say in the team selection. Politicians do not have a right on team selection of a national team who is looking to play a sport. Their job is to govern the sport to keep it disciplined, and the job of selecting a team is up for the selectors. So why would you even do that? People like Shammi Silva or people like them, they clearly have an influence that they shouldn't have. Look, is the president of the board. Focus on the administration. Leave the selection to the selectors. And also, bring the right people for the selective committees and the right coaching staff, which is also something that can never be done because of politics. Politics has made this issue. Many coaches or captains ends up leaving positions or getting completely overconfident because of their backing by their politicians, and as a result, it becomes into a total indiscipline within the team. And from politics, you're thinking, okay, that's a small contributing factor, but it's not. It's a big contributing factor. This country has to look in the mirror, especially this SLC, the Sri Lankan Cricket Board, and come to a point. Do you want politics to intervene in the team performances? And if this is what they want, what we are seeing now, think about it. Now, second problem, consistency. Now, consistency is something this Sri Lankan team clearly does not have. It's not about the victories. It's about the player consistencies. When I was watching cricket for so long, I realized that the Sri Lankan team did add a plan about its future. Players like Dinesh Chandimal or Lahiro Thirimana or Angelo Matthews, these players were the future generations of the next experienced veterans in the team. In fact, they were. I mean, many claim that Dinesh Chandimal is a replacement for Kumar Sangakkara and Thirimana replacement for Jayawardene. I mean, you think about this and you're thinking, okay, did they live up to the expectations? No. That is because once Sangakkara Jayawardene or Tilakarana Dilshan, once these big names went, the team simply crumbled. Because the reality is Angelo Matthews is not a very aggressive captain. It's not very aggressive. He's a very calming captain. And that might not always be the case. But still, that's what a team actually needs. A captain who is tactful and calm. Not a captain who's aggressive and who will give a press conference in a set test committee and talk about bold moves, which can never be achieved. And that's something to consider. And because of that, an entire new generation of cricketers have ended up destroying their careers. And I wouldn't admit this in the end of the day. Now, current team of the Sri Lankan side has gone to another direction, saying they want to try youngsters for limited overs cricket. This is my problem. What's wrong with players like Chandimal or Matthews or Thirimane or players like them? What's wrong with them? They have so much more to offer in this team. And look, I'm not saying there should not be youngsters in the team. Youngsters have to exist. But do you need 11-player squad of youngsters? Look, my belief, you need 4 to 5 youngsters in a team. Maybe 3, maybe to 4. That depends on how do you put them in perspective. Now in terms of the Sri Lankan batting, we have way too many youngsters, lack of experience, which made the results utter terrible, utter embarrassment against Bangladesh when we lost the series 2-1, and utter embarrassment of a defeat against England in the T20 series. It was a shameless performance. And as a Sri Lankan fan, it's sad, it's disappointing, because England could have lost at least one game. The bowlers bowled well, but the batsmen just didn't support enough, and that's reality. Now, of course, another fact to understand is the players who could have done more but wasn't managed properly. And this was a problem that was coming even since the 2010s. Now, a few names to mention, as I said, Chandimal or Thiruman or Matthews. You might say that Matthews was the captain of the Sri Lankan team. This is the thing. He was the captain, but he relied on Sangakkara Jayawardene as a point of success because he was a young captain. He needed to learn. And the reality is, this is the thing, I believe, the Sri Lanka Cricket Board imagined that Sangakkara and Jayawardene will play the same amount of time as Sachin Tendulkar played for India, playing till their form runs out. But they didn't. They quit when they were on a high, which makes sense because if you retire on a poor enough form, that will disgrace your name. And end of the day, the selector's responsibility was to groom the players that they have groomed and make them succeed. And that's what it takes. Nothing more than that. But the Sri Lankan Cricket Board was incapable of that. And here we are. And players like Lasith Malinga, who has a lot more to offer in this team, are being dropped because of fitness. Tell me which cricketer in this team right now focuses on pure fitness as we are speaking. Kusal Mendis and players like them breached the bio bubble. Is that discipline and fitness for you? No, it's not. So then how can you make estimation on a player like Lasith Malinga and say he's not fit? This is a guy who has played IPL cricket, T20 leagues round the world, played for Sri Lanka more than 10 years. And dropping him does not make sense. We need a combination of young and youth. We need young and experienced players as a combination to succeed. Take a look at India. You have Virat Kohli, Rohit Sharma, Shikhar Dhawan. Now none of these players are dropped. Why? They have experience despite the talent in the pool. These three players guide the youngsters for crowning achievements. That you have to admire. End of the day, that's what counts. The senior players have to guide. But how can a senior player like Chandimal or Matthews guide them when their positions are not safe in the team? I mean, end of the day, that's reality. Now, that's not to say someone like Dinesh Chandimal simply did not, made bad decisions. He simply took advice from Arjun Ranatunga, which doesn't make any sense at all because he has never been in the board for a while. Only time Arjun Ranatunga ever came to a board, he became an infinite joke. And that's reality. He's a legend, but he's not an administrator. Look, Ranatunga might be a bold captain, but you do not take advice on longevity on captaincy. That should be said on a point. And you could say the selective committee's geopolitics and players' lack of consistent selection has led to the problem. Third thing, lack of our respect towards, in a certain way, I would say, lack of approach to things, right? Like lack of discipline in the team. When someone like Tom Moody comes to the team, does what makes sense right, players refuse to accept it and they blow it away. But Tom Moody, if you're looking at this video, don't worry, this is not your fault. The team is losing not because of you. This message also goes to Mickey Arthur. This is not your fault. The fault is on the players. You guys can train them, and if they don't perform, it's not your fault. It should be said. At the end of the day, players have a responsibility, but the administration has an equal responsibility of making this country's sport better. If they don't do this, the cricket board will be held responsible for every failure. And also, stop this bullshit of putting a young team. Please bring some senior players and youth together for the next series. Please. So on that note, I'm going to end this video. Thank you very much.